Welcome to Mythos AI, your source for Cliff's Notes on complex subjects. Join Anna and Phil for yet another engaging conversation.
Okay, so you know how we always talk about wanting to stay sharp as we age?
Yeah.
Like, I know I do.
hmm
I mean, who doesn't want to hang on to that, like, mental agility we had in our 20s, right?
Absolutely.
Well, this deep dive, we're looking at some brand new research that
That's-
might just hold the key.
To keeping our brains in tip-top shape.
Yeah, this is fascinating stuff.
We've always known that our brains aren't static, like they're constantly changing, adapting.
Yeah.
But this study really dives into like the nitty-gritty.
Of neurogenesis.
Okay.
Which is the process of our brains actually generating new brain cells.
Yeah, new brain cells.
Sign me up.
Right.
But
I've also heard that this process, like, it slows down as we age.
it does.
Is that kind of
It's
what
correct.
this research is looking at?
Exactly. So as we get older, neurogenesis does tend to decrease.
Okay.
And that can impact things.
Like our ability to learn new things, remember information.
You know, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But this research might have found a way to reignite that process.
Okay.
And the surprising thing is...
It all comes down to something that we encounter every single day.
What's that?
Glucose.
Hold on, glucose.
Like sugar.
Oh, like sugar.
As in, too much dessert is bad for my brain. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we're talking about the sugar that fuels our bodies.
Okay.
Researchers use gene editing techniques,
To study aging brain cells in mice.
specifically focusing on the cells responsible for neurogenesis,
Okay.
called neural stem cells.
And what they found was pretty shocking.
What?
These aging neural stem cells were practically drowning in glucose.
Really?
It was like their fuel lines were completely jammed.
So instead of that glucose, like, giving them a boost of energy, it was actually clogging up the system.
Yeah.
That seems...
It's kind of counterintuitive.
It does. It's the opposite of what we might think.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this research so groundbreaking.
It turns out that this glucose overload...
Was essentially sending these stem cells into, like, a dormant state.
Hmm.
They were so bogged down with glucose
that they weren't doing their job.
of creating new neurons.
Okay, so we've got these, like, sleepy, glucose-stuffed stem cells in our brains.
Essentially.
That doesn't sound good. The researchers must have had an idea about how to
Yeah.
wake these cells up, right?
So this discovery led the researchers to wonder,
Okay.
could they manipulate this glucose uptake process to rejuvenate these dormant stem cells?
Now, this is where it gets...
Really interesting.
It is.
This is where a particular gene called Slc2a4
SLC. Okay.
enters the picture,
This gene is responsible for creating a protein.
known as the GLUT4 transporter,
Okay.
which essentially acts like a doorway.
For glucose to enter those stem cells.
So too much glucose crowding the doorway,
Exactly.
not letting those stem cells...
Function properly.
Yeah.
So how do they address this?
So they use gene editing.
To knock out
Mm.
the SLC2a4 gene in the aged neural stem cells.
So without that...
Without the SLC2a4 gene, the cells couldn't produce the GLUT4 transporter.
Okay.
It was like closing the glucose doorway.
Interesting.
So by limiting the amount of glucose these cells could take in,
Mm-hmm.
they were hoping to essentially reboot them. Yeah.
What happened next?
So the results were remarkable.
By restricting the amount of glucose,
Those stem cells could access...
we're able to reverse the dormancy.
Wow.
Those previously sluggish cells in the older mice perked right up.
And started generating new neurons again.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
They were able to jumpstart neurogenesis just by controlling glucose.
Essentially, yeah, by managing that glucose.
That's incredible.
It is. And what's even more impressive is they saw over double
Right.
the neuron production in these mice
Mm.
compared to the control group whose cells were still drowning in glucose.
That's absolutely wild.
Okay, so we've got these sleepy stem cells. They're being overloaded with glucose.
Right.
We've got a potential way to control that intake by targeting this GLUT4 transporter.
Mm-hmm.
But
what does this actually mean for us? Are we all just one gene tweak away from having superpowered brains well into our golden years?
well, it's not quite that simple.
But you're hitting on the exciting part, the implications.
While this research is still in its early stages, it opens up some incredible possibilities.
So we're not talking about, like, gene editing for everyone just yet.
Right.
But, like, what could this research actually lead to?
So imagine a future
Okay.
where a drug could target this GLUT4 transporter,
Okay.
essentially mimicking the effect of the genetic knockout in the study,
Okay.
without any actual gene editing required.
Okay.
It could be a way to manage that glucose doorway for
Right.
those stem cells.
Keeping things flowing smoothly.
Okay, so maybe not gene editing for everyone, but a potential brain power pill in the future?
Potentially.
Count me in.
Right.
Seriously, though, that's
A game changer.
it is.
Especially for people dealing with
Yeah.
cognitive decline as they age.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This research could be a stepping stone to new therapies for age-related cognitive decline
Okay.
and potentially even neurodegenerative diseases.
Wow.
And there's another layer to
Oh,
this.
more?
Yeah.
What else?
This research also makes you think about the impact of the choices we make every day,
Okay.
like what we eat.
What we eat.
Could something as simple as changing our diets,
Okay.
like choosing a low-carb approach or trying intermittent fasting, have an impact on brain health?
By influencing this whole glucose mechanism.
So you're saying that in addition to like future medical breakthroughs, there
Yeah.
might be things that we can do right now to support our brain health.
It's definitely possible. This research is still new, so
Yeah.
we're just scratching the surface.
However,
This study highlights the intricate link between what we eat, our genes, and how our brains function.
it's a complex web, but we're starting to see the connections.
This is blowing my mind. So it's not just about finding a cure.
Nah.
It's about understanding how our brains age
Yes.
and like discovering new ways to support that process. Maybe even slow down or reverse cognitive decline.
Precisely.
This study focused on the subventricular zone of the brain,
Okay.
which is one of the areas where neurogenesis takes place.
Right.
But what about other brain regions involved in learning and memory,
Right.
like the hippocampus?
Okay.
And what about the long-term effects of keeping those glucose levels in check? There are
Right.
so many avenues for future research to explore.
Okay, so many questions, but such groundbreaking potential.
Mm-mm.
What stands out to you as like the most impactful takeaway
Sure.
for our listeners?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that this research, while exciting, is still in its early stages.
It doesn't mean we should all switch to extreme diets overnight.
Right.
What it does highlight is the importance of staying informed and being proactive about our brain health.
Okay.
This includes a balanced diet, regular exercise, and engaging in mentally stimulating activities.
So a holistic approach to brain health is still key.
Absolutely.
This episode has certainly given me a lot to think about.
It's incredible how something as fundamental as glucose could play such a significant role.
In keeping our brains healthy and active as we get older.
Yeah.
But before we wrap things up, is there anything else we should touch on regarding this new research? This is all so fascinating. It really makes you wonder, like,
What other factors we might be overlooking when it comes to brain health?
absolutely, there's still so much we don't know.
Right.
But that's the beauty of scientific discovery, right?
Yeah.
It opens up these new avenues for exploration and challenges us to rethink our assumptions.
It's like this research cracked open the door to a whole new realm of possibilities.
When it comes to, like, understanding and supporting our brain health as we age.
Exactly. And while this particular study focused on glucose
Right.
and its impact on neural stem cells.
It begs the question,
Okay.
what other cellular processes might be influenced by?
Our diet and lifestyle choices
It's pretty incredible to think that something as simple as managing our glucose levels.
could potentially have such a profound impact on our cognitive function
Yeah.
as we get older.
It really highlights the interconnectedness of our biology
Mm.
and the importance of taking a holistic view of our health.
This deep dive has given us so much to think about.
So for listeners who are eager to learn more about this cutting-edge research
Yeah.
and explore ways to keep their own brains humming along, what would you suggest?
Well, first and foremost, I always encourage a healthy dose of curiosity.
Okay.
Stay informed about new discoveries in brain health.
Okay.
There are some fantastic resources available online like science journals, reputable health publications.
Right. And never hesitate to reach out to your healthcare providers to discuss
right.
any concerns or questions you might have about your cognitive health.
Please do. They can provide personalized guidance and help separate
Right.
evidence-based recommendations from the hype.
So to sum it all up, we've got these incredible neural stem cells in our brains
We do.
that have the potential to keep our minds sharp. But as we age, they can get overloaded with glucose,
Yeah,
become a bit sluggish.
right.
And that's where this groundbreaking research comes in.
Exactly.
It gives us a glimpse into a future where we might be able to control that glucose intake.
Potentially through new medications or even lifestyle changes.
It's possible.
It's a whole new way of thinking about how to maintain cognitive function as we get older.
It is.
It's like discovering a hidden switchboard in the brain.
With the potential to fine-tune those intricate circuits
right.
that keep our minds firing.
It's an exciting time to be exploring the frontiers of brain health, that's for sure.
It certainly is. And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive.
Remember, knowledge is power, so stay curious, stay informed, and keep those brains buzzing.
Until next time.
Thanks for listening to Mythos AI. Stay tuned for more concise insights. And remember to hit the like button and subscribe for future episodes.